Welcome to another chilling tale, where the line between reality and the supernatural fades into darkness. Tonight, we bring you the story of an innocent, yet cursed object, one that holds the power to unravel lives and bind spirits to the physical world. It begins with a simple music box, a beautiful relic from the past. But behind its delicate wood carvings and haunting melody lies a force far darker than anyone could ever imagine. Join us as we dive into the eerie mystery of the music box that played itself a tale of fear, obsession, and the battle to break a curse that has lasted for generations. Now, let's get into the story. The town of Meadowbrook was the assert of place where time seemed to slow down, its streets lined with old brick buildings and quaint shops. Nestled between a bakery and a bookstore stood an unassuming antique shop, its dusty windows offering glimpses of forgotten relics from decades past. The scent of aged wood and lavender always hung in the air, inviting anyone who passed by to step inside and lose themselves in history. The shop was run by Edna, an elderly woman who had lived in Meadowbrook for as long as anyone could remember. Her silver hair was always neatly pinned back in a bun, and her glasses perched on the end of her nose, giving her the look of someone who had seen it all. Her shop, Edna's Antiques, was filled with all sorts of trinkets, tarnished silverware, old books with yellowed pages, porcelain dolls with cracked faces, and paintings of long-forgotten landscapes. But there was one item in her shop that no one ever seemed to overlook: the music box. It wasn't large, but its intricate carvings and delicate craftsmanship made it stand out against the other items in the shop. The box was made of a rich, dark wood with roses and vines expertly carved into its surface, their petals seeming to bloom in the soft, fading light. The brass key was polished to a mirror finish, its shape elegant and graceful, like something that could only have been made by a master artisan. But it wasn't the design that made the music box so captivating, it was the history behind it. For years, the townsfolk whispered about the music box. Some claimed it was cursed, while others said it had a life of its own. Every time someone asked Edna about it, her eyes would darken and she would quickly change the subject, her voice trembling as if she was speaking about something too dangerous to acknowledge. It was a well-known fact that Edna had never sold the music box, though she had received many offers over the years. The town's curiosity about it only grew, especially when people began to notice something strange. The music box played by itself. It started innocently enough, just a soft, tinkling melody drifting through the shop late at night. At first, Edna thought it was the wind, or maybe a draft causing the key to turn, but the music continued, even when the shop was closed and Edna was upstairs in her small apartment. The melody, sweet and melancholic, seemed to float down the stairs, filling the empty store with a haunting sound that no one could explain. One night, Edna decided to investigate. She quietly crept down the stairs, her slippers silent on the wooden floors. She reached the bottom of the staircase and peered into the shop, expecting to find the music box playing due to some strange mechanical malfunction. But when she looked at the shelf where the box sat, her heart skipped a beat. The box was playing, but no one had touched it. The key was still in place, unmoving, and the lid was closed. Yet the music filled the shop, its soft notes ringing in the air as if it had a mind of its own. Edna stepped forward, her hand trembling as she reached for the box. When her fingers brushed the surface, the music stopped abruptly, leaving her standing in an unnerving silence. That was when Edna knew the music box was not just an antique, it was something more, something ancient, something that shouldn't be touched. She didn't tell anyone what she had witnessed. Instead, she kept the box hidden away on the top shelf, out of reach, hoping that no one would ever notice. But that was not to be. One day, a young couple, Lily and Tom, came into the shop. They were newlyweds, eager to find a special gift to commemorate their wedding. As they wandered through the aisles, their eyes eventually landed on the music box, its delicate carvings glistening under the soft light. Lily, in particular, was drawn to it. She had always loved music boxes, and this one seemed to call to her, its quiet melody still lingering in her mind. "Edna," Lily said, "this music box is beautiful. How much is it?" Edna's face turned pale. She hesitated, her gaze flickering toward the box. For a moment, she almost spoke, but the words got caught in her throat. She knew the danger of selling it, of letting it leave the shop, but she also knew that the couple would not leave without it. After a long pause, Edna spoke softly, "It's not for sale." But Lily was persistent. "Please, Edna, I've never seen anything like it. I promise, we'll take good care of it." Edna's eyes welled with tears, but she nodded, reluctantly agreeing to sell it. "You must promise me one thing," she said, her voice trembling. "Never wind it up too tightly. And if it plays, don't listen to the music. It will call to you." The young couple laughed, thinking it was just the ramblings of an old woman. But Edna's face remained serious, her eyes locked onto the music box as if it were the most dangerous thing in the world. Lily and Tom left the shop with the music box, excited about their new acquisition. They had no idea what they had just bought, a cursed relic that would soon change their lives forever. As they walked out of the shop, the bell above the door jingled softly, and the shop door closed behind them. For a brief moment, Edna watched them go, a heavy weight settling in her chest. She prayed that the curse would never find them, but deep down, she knew it was already too late. Lily and Tom couldn't contain their excitement as they walked down the cobbled streets of Meadowbrook, the small town quiet beneath the setting sun. The music box sat securely in Lily's arms, its brass key glinting in the fading light. To them, it was just a beautiful antique trinket, an item that would hold sentimental value for years to come. "Imagine it playing at our anniversary," Lily said with a smile. "It'll be like a little piece of history, a symbol of this moment." Tom chuckled. "I hope it doesn't start playing in the middle of the night, though that'd be creepy." Lily laughed along, but there was an unease in her chest she couldn't explain. Edna's warning echoed in her mind. "Never wind it up too tightly, and if it plays, don't listen to the music. It will call to you." She brushed the thought away, deciding it was just the old woman's superstitions. After all, it was just a music box. When they arrived at their cozy apartment, they carefully placed the box on their mantelpiece. The antique shop had been a place of oddities and curiosities, and they'd taken one of its most mysterious pieces home with them. The room felt warmer with it there, its beauty almost magnetic. That night, after dinner and a few glasses of wine, they sat down to relax. The room was dimly lit, and the sound of the city outside blended with the peaceful silence within. Tom was the first to notice the music box. "Should we wind it up?" he asked, half joking, his finger pointing at the brass key. Lily hesitated. Edna's warning still lingered in her mind, but she didn't want to seem foolish. She reached for the key and turned it, the soft clicking sound filling the quiet room. "There now, it's all set," Lily said, trying to sound casual. They sat in silence, the music box remaining still, offering no sign of life. Tom leaned back in his chair, his eyes half closed, while Lily stared out the window. They both thought nothing of it as the evening drifted by, each lost in their own thoughts. But as midnight approached, a strange sensation began to settle over the room. The first note came softly, almost imperceptibly, a gentle tinkling sound that could easily be mistaken for the wind outside or the hum of the apartment's old pipes. Then another note. Lily sat up straight, her heart rate quickening. She glanced at Tom, who hadn't noticed yet. The music grew louder, filling the room with its eerie melody. "Tom," Lily said, her voice trembling, "it's the box. It's playing on its own." Tom opened his eyes, a look of amusement on his face. "You sure you didn't wind it up too much?" he teased, his tone light, but the sound was unmistakable. The melody echoed through the apartment, as though the music box were alive, its notes ringing with a haunting familiarity. It wasn't just any tune, it was a strange, dissonant variation of a lullaby, a melody that sounded old, forgotten, and yet unsettlingly close to something they both knew. Lily's fingers twitched, almost as if compelled to get up and stop the music. She reached for the box, but when her hand touched the surface, the music stopped abruptly. The silence was unnerving. Not a single breath could be heard, and the world outside seemed to fade into nothingness. Lily glanced at Tom, who was now looking at her with concern. The music had stopped, but the eerie sensation in the air remained. "Maybe it's nothing," Tom said, his voice low. "Just some weird mechanism inside the box. We should probably get some sleep." Lily nodded, though she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. They decided to go to bed, but neither of them could fall asleep immediately. Their room felt heavy, and the air seemed colder, despite the warmth of the heater. The first night hit wasn't long before Lily noticed it again. In the dead of night, she was stirred by the faintest sound so soft at first that she wasn't sure it was real. The music, once again, filled the room, creeping into her consciousness like a whisper in the dark. Her eyes flew open, and she glanced toward the mantelpiece. The music box sat still, its key unmoving, the lid closed as it had been earlier that evening. How is it possible? Lily thought, her pulse racing. She turned to Tom, but he was sound asleep beside her, his breathing steady. Lily tried to ignore the unsettling melody, telling herself it was just a figment of her imagination, the product of too much wine and an old, creaky apartment. But the music grew louder, filling the room with a strange, hypnotic rhythm. The soft notes began to feel more like a command, urging her to listen closer, to understand the message hidden within the melody. Before she could stop herself, Lily found her hand reaching for the music box once again. Her fingers trembled as they brushed the surface of the box, but it stopped immediately, as though it had been waiting for her touch, breathing heavily. Lily sat up in bed, unable to shake the feeling that she was being watched. She couldn't explain it, but there was something deeply unsettling about the music box's melody. It felt like it was calling her, beckoning her to uncover its secrets. The following day's the next morning, Lily tried to shake off the strange experience. She didn't mention it to Tom, fearing he would laugh at her, or worse, think she was overreacting. After all, it was just a music box. But as the days passed, the events grew stranger. Each night, the music box would play, always at the same time, always louder than before. It didn't matter if the key was wound or not, no matter what they did, the music would play. Sometimes, it would stop abruptly, only to start again a few minutes later. Sometimes, it would continue playing well into the early hours of the morning, the melody growing more frantic and unnerving. Tom, too, began to notice the strange occurrences. He would wake in the middle of the night, hearing the soft, unsettling notes filling the air. But when he would check, the music box would be silent, its key still in place, its lid shut tight. One night, after the music played for hours on end, Tom decided to take action. He walked across the room, grabbed the box, and threw it into the back of a drawer, determined to stop the strange happenings once and for all. But the next night, the music played louder than ever. It was a rainy afternoon when Lily and Tom found themselves back at Edna's Antiques, the same shop where they had purchased the music box only days earlier. The storm outside had kept the town quiet, and as they stepped inside the warm, musty air of the shop, they were met with the soft chime of the doorbell. Edna, who had been dusting off a collection of old books, looked up and smiled at them. Her smile, though kind, held an underlying sadness. "Ah, back already?" she asked, her voice trembling ever so slightly. Lily and Tom exchanged a glance. They had come here with a purpose, to return the music box. They couldn't ignore the growing unease that had settled over their home since they brought it in. The music played almost every night now, its haunting melody filling the air at strange hours, often causing Lily to wake in a cold sweat. Sometimes, it played during the day when no one had touched it. Other times, it would stop suddenly, as though something or someone was waiting. But what troubled them the most was the way the music box seemed to be calling them. It was as though it was reaching deep into their minds, trying to draw them closer to its dark secrets. And each night, the figure from Lily's dreams, the tall, shadowy figure, appeared more clearly, watching from the corners of the room. We need to return the box, Edna," Lily said, her voice quiet. It's doing something strange. It's not just a piece of wood and brass. There's something wrong with it." Edna's face darkened at the mention of the box. She knew circus that came with it. She had seen the same fear in the eyes of others who had been drawn to the music box. But she also knew that returning it would not break the curse. In fact, it would make it worse. "I warned you," Edna replied, her voice soft but firm. "I told you it was not a simple object. You see, the box is not just a music box. It's something older, something dangerous." She paused, glancing at the box sitting on the shelf behind her, its delicate brass key shining in the dim light. "But it's already too late for that." Lily and Tom stared at her, their confusion palpable. "What do you mean? How can it be too late? We can just return it. We'll give it back to you. We don't want it anymore." Edna shook her head slowly, her expression grim. "You don't understand. The box isn't meant to be returned. Once it's opened, once it starts playing, it becomes a part of you. The spirit inside it." She stopped, her voice catching. "It gets stronger with every person it touches. If you want to rid yourself of it, you'll need to destroy it." Tom stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "What do you mean, destroy it? You're telling us we can't just put it back on the shelf?" "No," Edna replied firmly. "It doesn't work like that. The box has claimed you now. It's part of your lives, part of your minds. You must destroy it if you want to be free." Lily shook her head in disbelief. "But how? How do we destroy something like that? It's just a box." Edna looked at the music box, as if seeing something beyond its polished surface. This box was made by someone who was trying to bind a spirit, a powerful, ancient spirit that thrives on fear. The maker of the box, his name was Vincent. He believed that if he could trap this spirit inside the music, he would be able to control it. But he made a terrible mistake. Their spirit inside wasn't one that could be controlled. It can only feed. Lily shuddered at the thought. "So, it's feeding off of us?" Edna nodded gravely. "Yes, it feeds on your fear, on your curiosity. The more you listen to theme music, the stronger it becomes, and eventually, it will take what it wants. The revelation of Vincent Edna began to tell them the story of Vincent, the creator of the music box. Vincent was a gifted craftsman, a musician of sorts. He wasn't a cruel man, but he became obsessed with creating the perfect melody song that could echo through time and space, a song that would never fade. He came across an ancient tune, one said to open a doorway to another world. He didn't understand the warnings. He thought he could bind the spirit to the music, make it his servant. He was wrong. The tune was powerful, far beyond his understanding. Edna paused, looking away as if the memory itself hurt. Vincent's last attempt to finish the box came when he was already a broken man. He poured everything into creating it, his skill, his soul. But the night he finished it, he vanished. No one knew where he went. Some say he died in the house, that he was claimed by the spirit. Others say he became one with it. Tom and Lily stood silently, processing Edna's words. So that's what's inside the box. A spirit, Tom asked. A spirit, yes. But not just any spirit. It's a dark entity, one that thrives on fear and torment. Once Vincent bound it to the music box, it became trapped, but it could still influence those who came into contact with it. And now, it's latched onto you. Lily's stomach churned. How do we stop it? The Planedna's eyes softened with regret. The only way to stop it is to destroy the box, to break the connection between the spirit and the world it's trying to invade. But it's not as simple as smashing it. Their spirit is bound to the box, and it will fight back. It won't let go easily. Lily felt a surge of panic. How can we do it? How do we destroy it without being hurt? I can help, Edna said, her voice steady now. But we'll need to be careful. We'll need to draw the spirit out and face it. You can't let it lure you in. You must be strong, and you must act quickly. If you don't, it will claim you completely. Tom's voice was firm. We'll do whatever it takes. Just tell us what we need to do. Edna nodded. First, we'll need to play the music box one last time. But this time, you must face the spirit. You cannot let it overwhelm you. You must focus on breaking the connection. Only then will the spirit be freed and the box be destroyed. Lily felt a knot form in her stomach. She knew this wasn't going to be easy. The music box had already begun to take its toll on her mind. She had seen the figure in her dreams, the tall, shadowy figure that had begun to haunt her waking hours. And now, Edna's warning echoed louder than ever in her mind. This spirit must be faced. We're ready, Lily said, though the words didn't feel as confident as she wanted them to. Tell us what to do. The air in the room was thick with tension as Lily and Tom prepared themselves for what Edna had described. The final confrontation with the spirit bound to the music box. Despite the uncertainty, they knew it was their only chance. There was no turning back. The night had fallen quickly, and the storm outside was beginning to pick up again. The howling winds rattled the windows, and the rain pounded against the glass like 1,000 tiny fists. But inside their apartment, the air felt still, too still, like the calm before a storm. The music box sat on the coffee table in front of them, its brass key gleaming eerily in the dim light. Lily could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She had never been a superstitious person, but the strange happenings since they had brought the music box home had left her shaken. The music that irked dreams, the unsettling presence that seemed to follow her wherever she went, all of it pointed to something much more than just a cursed object. It felt as if they were being slowly consumed by the music, their lives wrapped up in the chilling melody. pulling them into a reality that was far beyond their understanding. "We have to do this," Tom said, his voice low but steady. He sat beside Lily, his hand gripping hers tightly. "We don't have a choice anymore." Lily nodded, though she wasn't sure if she was trying to convince herself or him. She had seen the way the music box seemed to play on its own, waking her from deep sleep, calling to her like a siren song. And the figure in her dreams, Thessadoe presence that had become clearer and more real each time, filled her with a deep dread. She had no idea what would happen when they played their music again, but she knew it wouldn't be easy. Edna had explained what they needed to do. They had to play the box and allow the spirit to manifest fully, drawing it out into the world. But they couldn't let it control them. The spirit, once freed, would try to overwhelm their minds, filling them with fear and despair. They had to resist it, focus on breaking the bond between their spirit and the box. Only then would the curse be broken, and their spirit destroyed. Lily slowly reached forward and turned the brass key. For a moment, nothing happened. Therum was silent, save for the distant sounds of the storm outside. But then, as though it had been waiting, the music box began to play. The first note was soft, hauntingly familiar. It sounded like a lullaby, gentle and sweet, but there was something wrong with it. The melody was too smooth, too perfect, like it was drawing them in, wrapping around their thoughts, urging them to listen closer. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the hair on the back of her neck stand on end as the music filled the room. It was as if the very walls of the apartment were closing in on them. The air growing colder, the shadows in the corners of the room deepening. Tom squeezed her hand, his knuckles white, but his eyes were fixed on the music box. "Stay focused," he whispered. "Don't let it pull you in." Lily nodded, but it was harder than she thought. The melody was so beautiful, so hypnotic, it felt like it was calling to her, like it was speaking directly to her mind, offering comfort and peace in exchange for her attention. She shook her head, trying to clear the fog from her thoughts, but the music played on, relentless and mesmerizing dud. Then the air in the room shifted. A cold, unnatural chill swept through the apartment, and the shadows grew longer, twisting and writhing like living things. The temperature dropped so suddenly, Lily could see her breath in the air. Her heart raced as the darkness began to take shape. It started as a figure tall, thin silhouette standing in the corner of the room, its shape obscured by the thick shadows. At first, it was just a shadow, indistinct and formless. But as the music played louder, the figure became clearer. It grew taller, its features sharper. Lily's eyes widened as she realized it wasn't just a shadow. It was something, someone. The figure stepped forward, moving with a slow, deliberate pace. It was tall, far too tall, and its limbs were unnaturally long. Its face was obscured in the darkness, but Lily could feel its eyes on her. She could sense the malice radiating from it, the hunger in its presence. It was the figure from her dreams, the same tall, shadowy figure that had haunted her thoughts for nights on end. Tom let out a sharp breath, and Lily turned to look at him. He was visibly shaken, his face pale as he stared at the figure that had now fully manifested in front of them. The spirit, bound to the music box, was here, in their apartment, and it was staring directly at them. "Don't look at it," Edna had warned. "The more you focus on it, the stronger it becomes." Lily's pulse raced. It was hard to look away, hard not to stare at the tall figure, its head tilted unnaturally, as though it was studying them. The music grew louder, faster, more frantic. The sound seemed to swirl around them, filling their minds with whispers, promises of things unspeakable. Focus. Tom's voice broke through the growing terror in Lily's mind. He gripped her hand tighter, his other hand reaching for the music box. Lily nodded, but it was difficult. The spirit's presence was overwhelming, and the music pulled at her like a tangible force. She could feel her vision narrowing, her thoughts growing cloudy as the figure seemed to grow closer, its long, thin arms reaching toward them. Suddenly, Therum seemed to flicker like a glitch in reality itself. The air felt heavy, charged with energy, as though time had stopped. And then, their figure moved. It lunged at them, its eyes glowing with a terrifying, unearthly light. But just as it reached them, Tom slammed his hand down on the music box, stopping. The melody, the figure froze, its form shifting, as though the music had momentarily held it in place. But Lily could feel its rage, its desire to break free, to finish what it had started. She could hear it in her mind, the whispers growing louder, telling her that she couldn't escape, that it would never let go. The music box lay silent, its key unmoving, but the air still hummed with the presence of the spirit. The shadow in the room began to shift again, its form flickering in and out like a malfunctioning image. Therum felt alive with malevolent energy, and Lily knew they couldn't wait any longer. "We need to finish this," she whispered to Tom, her voice trembling, with a nod. Tom reached for the box once again, his fingers trembling as he gripped the key. The atmosphere in the apartment was suffocating, thick with dread and confusion. The figure, dark, elongated, and pulsing with an unnatural energy, stood just beyond their reach of the music box, its hollow eyes burning with an intensity that seemed to pierce through Lily and Tom. Every part of her body screamed to run, to escape, but she felt paralyzed by the overwhelming presence of the spirit that had now fully manifested before them. Lily's breath came in shallow gasps, her pulse thundering in her ears. Therum was still, save for the faint sound of the storm outside, but the weight of the silence felt unbearable. The only other sound came from eerie whispers that filled her Mindy's spirit's voice, calling to her, tempting her with promises of escape, of freedom from fear, if only she would surrender. Tom was right beside her, his hands still gripping the music box, its key unmoving. He looked at Lily, his eyes wide with fear, but there was determination in his gaze. "We need to understand it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We need to know what we're dealing with, so we can stop it." Lily nodded, swallowing hard. Against the lump in her throat, she had been too focused on the immediate terror of the music box and the spirit's presence. But Tom was right. There had to be more to this than just a cursed trinket. They had to understand the source, the reason for the spirit's anger. They couldn't destroy it without knowing what they were up against. Edna's words echoed in their minds. The spirit has a history, a purpose. Vincent, the man who created the box, thought he could control it, but it's far too powerful to be bound by mere wood and metal. "Edna," Lily said, her voice hoarse from thought of it all. "She told us about Vincent, about what he did, but she didn't explain everything. We need to know more." Tom's grip on the music box tightened. "We'll go to her. She knows more than she let on. If anyone can help us, it's her." But the figure in the room, its presence, cold and unyielding, made that decision feel impossible. The spirit's eyes flickered toward them again, its long arms reaching toward the music box, its fingers curling, as if trying to tear it from Tom's hands. Lily could feel its rage pulsing in the air. Without thinking, she stepped forward, her voice trembling as she spoke to the spirit. "Who are you? What do you want with us? The room seemed to vibrate with an unnatural energy as the spirit's form began to shift. The figure's face, though still obscured in shadow, slowly started to take shape. As it did, Lily could see the outline of a man, tall and gaunt, with hollow cheeks and lips pulled back into a twisted, almost unnatural smile. His eyes, if they could be called eyes, were black, endless voids that consumed everything in there. Gazed at the voice that came next was not a whisper, but a cold, guttural tone that vibrated deep within Lily's chest. "I am Vincent." Lily froze, her heart skipping a beat. "You're Vincent," she whispered, the words barely leaving her mouth. The figure nodded slowly, the smile never leaving his face. "I am what remains of him. The music, it was my prison, my creation, my damnation, and now it is yours." Tom's face paled. "You were the one who created the box. You bound the spirit inside it." Vincent's laugh was cold and hollow. "The spirit was never bound. It is far older than I am, far more powerful than I ever imagined. I thought I could control it, but I was wrong, so very wrong." Lily's breath caught in her throat as realization hit her. This wasn't just a story about a cursed object. It was about something far more sinister, a creature bound to the world through a melody. A spirit that fed off fear, drawing its power from the very souls who encountered it. Vincent's form flickered again, his shadowy figure growing larger. "Closer, I thought I could imprison it, but I was merely feeding it, offering it a home, a place to grow stronger, and now it wants to consume you." Lily shook her head, trying to push away theatre that was creeping into her thoughts. "What do you want from us? Why did you bring this into our lives?" The spirit's smile deepened. "It is not I who has brought it to you. It is you who sought me out. You found the music box. You wanted its beauty, its power. You were drawn to it, like moths to a flame." Tom stepped forward, his voice steady but urgent. "How do we stop it? How do we end this?" Vincent's laugh echoed again, but this time there was a sadness to it. "You cannot stop what has already begun. The spirit grows stronger with every soul it touches. You are part of its feeding now. Once the box has claimed enough of you, it will be free, and then nothing will be able to stop it." Lily felt a cold wave of despair wash over her. The music, their dreams, their strange occurrences, all of it was connected to this entity, this spirit, that Vincent had unwittingly released. And now it was too late to turn back. But there had to be a way. There had to be. "We'll find a way," Lily said, though she wasn't sure if she was reassuring Tom or herself. "We won't let it control us. We will destroy the box." Vincent's smile twisted into something darker. "You can try, but the spirit is not bound to the box. It will follow you. It will always follow you, until you break the connection. Only then will you be free." As the spirit's form began to fade, Vincent's laughter lingered in the room, chilling them to their bones. The music box, sitting innocently on the table, seemed to pulse with an eerie energy. It was silent now, but they both knew it was far from over. Their spirit was still there, still watching them, waiting for them to make their next move. Lily and Tom exchanged a look. They had to act fast. There was no more time to waste. "We need to find Edna," Lily said, her voice firm now, the fear replaced with determination. "She knows how to end this. We have to do it before the spirit grows stronger." Tom nodded, his face set in grim resolve. "Let's go," as they rushed to gather their things and leave the apartment. The music box, untouched on the table, began to hum softly. The melody, still haunting and beautiful, filled the air, its sweet, siren-like call promising that the curse was far from over. The storm raged outside as Lily and Tom rushed through the darkened streets of Meadowbrook, the wind whipping at their clothes and the rain pouring down in sheets. The sounds of the storm were drowned out by the pounding of their hearts as they made their way to Edna's antique shop. The urgency in their steps matched the growing dread in their minds. The music box was no longer just a beautiful, haunting trinket, it had become their nightmare. And they were racing against time to break its curse. The faint melody from the music box, which still lingered in the back of Lily's mind, was the only thing she could focus on. It echoed with a chilling clarity, as though it were following them, it and growing louder with every step they took toward the shop. The whispers from the spirit were becoming harder to ignore, their eerie calls growing more frantic, more desperate. Edna's shop was a small building nestled between a bakery and a bookstore, its windows fogged up with the storm's moisture. The bell above the door jingled softly as they pushed it open, and the warm, musty scent of antique wood greeted them. Inside, the shop was dim, lit only by a few flickering lamps that cast long shadows across the shelves filled with relics of the past. Edna was behind the counter, her back turned to them as she rearranged some old books. The moment she heard the door open, she turned, her face pale, her expression one of quiet resignation. "You came," she said softly, her voice heavy with knowing. "I feared it would come to this." Lily and Tom exchanged a glance, their hearts pounding. Edna could see the fear in their eyes, the terror that had taken hold of them since the moment they brought the music box into their home. "We have to end this," Lily said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "The spirit is stronger now. It's following us, and it won't stop until it's fed enough. You have to help us destroy it." Edna nodded slowly, a grim expression settling on her face. "I knew it would come to this. The spirit has been growing, stronger with every passing day, and now it wants to break free. What do we need to do?" Tom asked, his voice tight with tension. Edna sighed, looking down at the music box resting on a shelf behind her. It sat there, innocently, its brass key gleaming in the dim light. To anyone else, it might have looked like a harmless antique, but to them, it was a Pandora's box, filled with darkness, torment, and a power they couldn't fully understand. "You must face the spirit directly," Edna said, her voice low, almost mournful. "It feeds on fear. The more you fear it, the stronger it becomes. But if you can refuse to fear it, if you can break that bond between it and the box, then Thecus will be lifted." Lily's heart sank. "How do we do that? How do we stop it from taking us?" "There's only one way," Edna replied. "You must destroy the music box, but not just physically. You have to sever the connection between the spirit and the box. It's not just an object, it's the conduit, the vessel. Without it, the spirit can't exist in the same way. But if you break it, truly break it, you'll destroy the spirit's power." Lily felt her pulse quicken. "But the spirit, it's too strong. We saw it. It nearly took us. That is the spirit's nature," Edna explained. "It is relentless, and it will stop at nothing to feed. But you have the power to destroy it. Thebox itself is the anchor. If you can shatter it, the spirit will be lost, dispersed, powerless. It will return to the void it came from." Tom stepped forward, his jaw set in determination. "We can do this. We have to." Edna nodded, her eyes filled with sorrow. "There is one final thing you must know. The spirit will try to stop you. It will manipulate your thoughts, feed on your doubts and your fears. You must remain focused. If you lose yourself, if you give in to fear, you will never escape. Lily and Tom stood in front of the music box, the soft melody still echoing in the back of their minds. The room felt colder now, and the air was thick with an unnatural heaviness. Every part of Lily screamed to flee, but she fought to stay rooted, to remain present in this moment. Edna stood behind them, her presence steady, but even she seemed nervous, her hands trembling as she watched them prepare for the final confrontation. Lily took a deep breath. "We can do this," she said, her voice barely a whisper, but firm. Tom nodded, his hand brushing the lid of the music box. As soon as his fingers made contact, the music box's lid flew open on its own, as though the spirit had anticipated their arrival. The notes began to play again, louder this time, sharper and aggressive, unsettling tune that felt like 1,000 voices crying out in pain. The shadows in the room began to shift. The temperature dropped, and the figure appeared again, the tall, twisted form of Vincent, his hollow eyes glowing in the darkness. His long fingers reached toward them, his presence overwhelming. "You cannot stop this," Vincent's voice echoed in their minds, cold and dark. "You are mine now. You will never escape." Lily felt her heart race, but she gritted her teeth, refusing to back down. She couldn't let the fear take over again. "We won't let you win." Tom took a step forward, his eyes locked on the music box. "We're ending this tonight," with a final, desperate gesture. He picked up the music box and slammed it onto the ground with all his strength. The sound was deafening. The sharp crack of wood breaking, the shattering of glass, the twisting of metal. The spirit's wailing cry filled the room as the box cracked open, splintering into pieces. The air seemed to vibrate with an intense energy, and for a moment, Therum felt as if it were collapsing in on them. The shadows screamed, the whispers grew louder, and the figure of Vincent twisted in agony. But as the box shattered, the music stopped. The oppressive weight of the spirit's presence lifted. Lily and Tom stood in the debris of the broken box, their hearts pounding, their minds reeling. The shadows that had once seemed to hold them captive were gone. The room, once filled with dread, now felt light, almost peaceful. The figure of Vincent faded away, his screams dying into nothingness. Aftermath, Lee collapsed to her knees, hands shaking as she looked at the shattered pieces of the music box. It was over. The curse was broken. Tom knelt beside her, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He looked at her with a mixture of relief and disbelief. "We did it. It's gone," Edna stepped forward, her face soft with sorrow and relief. "You've done it. The spirit is gone. The curse is broken." Lily nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "But what now? Is it really over?" Edna placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's over. You're free." Lily looked around the room, and for the first time since they had brought the music box into their home, she felt a true sense of peace. The storm outside had finally subsided, and the first light of dawn began to filter through the windows as the sunlight bathed the shop in golden warmth. Lily knew that their lives would never be the same, but they had survived. They had faced the darkness and had come out on the other side, stronger and free. And the music box, the one that had haunted their every step, was gone, shattered, its curse broken, its spirit forever lost to the void. And so, the music box, once a beautiful piece of history, has been silenced, its curse broken. But remember, some spirits never truly vanish. They linger in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to return. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed the music box that played itself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more dark tales that will send shivers down your spine. Until next time, keep your curiosity in check, for some things are better left undiscovered. The music plays softly, then fades out with a final, eerie note. Stay safe and good night.